Okay, Barbara.
Okay. Well, good morning, everyone. Let's welcome to Clear Lake Center. And we want everyone to mute their sound. And then um, we are going to have a joy sound from Bill.
Okay, here we go. Today, while the blossoms still cling to the vine, I'll taste your strawberries, I'll drink your sweet wine. A million tomorrows shall all pass away ere I forget all the joys that are mine today. I'll be a dandy and I'll be a rover. You'll know who I am by the song that I sing. I'll feast at your table, I'll sleep in your clover. Who cares what tomorrow shall bring? Today, while the blossoms still cling to the vine, I'll taste your strawberries, I'll drink your sweet wine. A million tomorrows shall all pass away ere I forget all the joys that are mine today. I can't be contented with yesterday's glories. I can't live on promises, winter till spring. Today is my moment, and now is my glory. I'll laugh and I'll cry and I'll sing. Today, while the blossoms still cling to the vine, I'll taste your strawberries, I'll drink your sweet wine. A million tomorrows shall all pass away ere I forget all the joys that are mine today. Today.
Thank you, Bill.
Welcome.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. All right. I think everybody's really good on the mute. Thank you. And so now I just like to say that we are so happy that Reverend Bob is zooming all the way from Sacramento or Lake Tahoe. I haven't quite figured
Ah,
it. It's beautiful. Oh my gosh, big screen. It is beautiful. And he is going to give the opening prayer this morning. And then after that, we will have Bill singing Surely the Presence and the Lord's Prayer. So beautiful. And so, Reverend Bob,
thank you, Barbara, and well, good morning, everybody. And let's just take a moment and come together in prayer. If it serves you, close your eyes, sit comfortably on your chair, wherever you're at. Take a nice, gentle breath of air in, and realize that we are inspiring spirit, connecting that spirit without with that spirit within. And we are grateful for this wonderful technology that allows us to connect across the miles and be with each other. And we're connected electronically, and we're connected heart to heart by spirit. And we're grateful for this wonderful little community up in Lower Lake in California, sending this unity message out into the community and recording it and then putting it back out in cyberspace. And we know that each one of us is here by a divine appointment. And we open our hearts and our minds to this message today, and whether it's in song or words I say or in our sharing after the service, we know that Spirit is working in and through us. And with a grateful and thankful heart, all God's children said, thank you, God, together. Thank you, God. So it is. Amen.
Okay, here we go. Surely the presence So the Lord is in this place. I can feel his mighty power and his grace. I can hear the brush of angels' wing. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. Surely the presence of the light is in this place. I can feel her mighty power and her grace. I can hear the brush of angels' wing. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of the light is in this place. I have to take a brief break here, and then you got a phone call from Rosemary.
Oh, that's my phone.
That's
there?
your phone. I
Why,
was
why's
propping
my
it
phone
up.
there?
Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Don't. It's all right.
Sorry.
Lord's
sorry.
Prayer. Yay! Here we go.
Oh,
Life goes on.
Not my phone. Start over.
Our Father and Mother, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debt as we forgive our debtors, and leave us not in temptation, but deliver us from error. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen.
Blessings, Bill. It was beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And so now I'd like to read the invocation affirmation. I want you to think about it. This is who we are. First, there is only one presence and one power active in my life, God, the good, omnipotent. And then there is only one presence and one power active in unity, Clear Lake Center, God, the good, omnipotent. And finally, there is only one presence and one power active in our world, God, the good, omnipotent. And the 5 basic ideas of unity, the basic foundation of unity. First, God is absolute good, everywhere present. Next, human beings have a spark of the divine spirit within them, the Christ consciousness within. Therefore, they are inherently good. Human beings create their experience by the activity of their thinking. Thoughts held in mind produce after their kind. Prayer is the process that affirms our connection with God mind and brings forth wisdom, healing, and everything good. But the final one, knowing and understanding universal laws, also called truth, are not enough. A person must also live the truth that he or she knows. We'll continue with Bill with another song. Thank you, Bill.
like to build the world a home, furnish it with love, grow apple trees and honey bees, snow white turtle dove. I like to teach the world to sing in perfect harmony. I'd like to hold it in my arms and keep it company. That's the song I sing, what the world needs today. A song of peace that echoes on and never fades away. I like to see the world for once all standing hand in hand, and hear them echo through the hills for peace throughout the land. That's the song I sing, what the world needs today. A song of peace that echoes on and never fades away. The song of peace that echoes on, never fades away.
Song of Peace. Oh, yes. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, well, the daily word. A beautiful way to start the day, always. And today, on Sunday, September the 22nd, 2024, it's my thoughts and words and actions affirm wholeness. The theme is healing. My thoughts, words, and action affirm wholeness. Wholeness is my true nature. Even if I am facing a health challenge, divine life is active in every cell of my body. Knowing this truth, I hold healing thoughts and speak life-affirming words, while making sure to give my body the rest, nourishment, and care that will help it heal. I refuse to allow thoughts of sickness or weakness to grow in my consciousness. I seek support among friends and family who share my belief in wholeness. As I have been supported, I offer my support. I feel honored when I am asked for healing prayer. I look beyond the appearance of illness, and with faith-filled vision, I behold and affirm the wholeness that is seeking to express more completely in the lives of those for whom I pray. And from John 5:6, when Jesus saw him lying there and knew that he had been there a long time, he said to him, "Do you want to be made well?" Remember, your thoughts, my thoughts, words, and actions affirm wholeness. And so now, Reverend Bob's talk today is titled, Do All You Can. And he is going to share some ideas on how we can bloom where we are planted. Thank you, Reverend Bob.
Thanks, Barbara. Wow, good morning, and pleasure to be here again and via Zoom. And my wife, Reverend Margie, sends her hi and hello. She's, as we speak, she's probably at Unity of Richmond, East Bay, getting ready to give the 11 o'clock service there. So anyway, like Barbara said, the title of my talk is Do All You Can. And it comes from a song. When I was in ministerial school, we used to have these chapel services. And one of the songs that a lot of my classmates chose, it had the words, do all you can. And the verse that kind of rings in my mind is this: do all you can with what you've got, in the place you are, with the things you've got. Do all you can. Now, I'm not going to sing that. I'm not a singer. When I was in ministerial school, I tried out for all the choirs. And I remember we're up on the stage at the center at the Unity Village Chapel, and it's a huge stage. There's about 40 of us up there. And I'm singing away, and my classmate, Cheryl Myers, stops everybody, walks over to me, grabs me by the shirt, pulls me out, sticks me between these two guys, and says, match their sound. I'm going, how could she pick me out out of 40 people? But, I know people at music, they can hear that faulty sound. And anyway, that's the thing. Do all you can with what you got in the place you are with the things you've got. Do all you can. And I came across an interesting story about an older gentleman who lived in New Jersey, and he wanted to plant his annual tomato garden. But the ground's really hard, and his only son, Vinny, was a guest of the state in a local prison. So the old man wrote a letter to his son explaining his predicament. And this is what he wrote. Dear Vincent, I'm feeling pretty sad because it looks like I won't be able to plant my tomato garden this year. I'm just getting too old to be digging up a garden plot. I know if you were here, my troubles would be over. I know you'd be happy to dig the plot for me like the old days. Love, Papa. Well, a few days later, the old man gets a letter back from Vinny. Vinny writes this. Dear Pop, don't dig up the garden. That's where the bodies are buried. Love, Vinny. The next day at 4 a.m., the FBI, local police show up with picks and shovels and a search warrant. They dig up his complete backyard. Of course, not finding anything, they apologize profusely and leave. That same day, he gets a letter back from Vinny. Dear Pop, go ahead and plant the tomatoes now. That's the best I could do under the circumstances. Love you, Vinny. So Vinny did what he could with what he had in the places we are, what he had. Writing this letter, and just kind of brings to my mind about, what gifts do we have that we can use. Now, several weeks ago, Margie and I watched this movie called Blindside, and it's about a football player. Now, in high school and college, I was a wrestler and I was a wrestling coach, so football was not my forte, but I learned some important things. Plus, the story kind of spoke to my heart too. They talked about the two most highest paid players in a football team, and well, obviously the quarterback, but also the left tackle, the guy who protects the quarterback. When the quarterback drops back to make a pass, the left tackle is the one that's got to keep anybody from blindsiding where the guy can't see, and sacking the quarterback. And the story of Blindside is a story about Michael Orr and a woman named Leanne Toohey, two disparate type of people in Memphis, Tennessee that probably wouldn't have contact with one another, except maybe spirit working through their lives. Michael was a 17-year-old African-American youth in and out of foster homes. Leanne Toohey was a well-to-do interior designer married to a wealthy businessman. And Michael, he was in foster care since he was 7 years of age. His mom was a drug-addicted mom, and he was taken from him. He was placed in these foster cares, and he was running away. And he was sleeping on the couch of one of his friends. And the father of this friend decided he was going to try and get Michael and his son into this upscale Christian academy. So they went to this coach, and he made his pitch. And Michael's grades were abysmal, but Michael was a pretty good sized guy, and the coach thought, well, maybe he can help out their football team. So Michael gets in, and he's in this Christian academy, and he links up with this young fellow named SJ, who is Leanne Toohey's son. And Leanne one day is driving down there. It's a cold November day, rainy, and she sees Michael walking down the street, kind of shivering. And so she picks him up and finds out that he was going to be sleeping outside the school so he could come next morning. So she invites him in. And when she finds out that he really doesn't have any place to stay, she invites him to stay for Thanksgiving. And he kind of moves into the Toohey household, much to the dismay of her friends, rich friends and relatives, that she's bringing this young African-American guy to live in her household. And anyway, Leanne Toohey, she was an evangelical Christian. And Michael became more and more of the family. And she wanted to be his guardian. She took out the paperwork for that. And she discovered that Michael didn't score very well in the career aptitudes, except in this one area. He scored in the 98th percentile in protective instincts. So Michael soon became eligible to play football, and she helped hired a tutors to get his grades up so he can play football. And his first sojourn onto the football field wasn't so good because he was a big guy, but he was so gentle at heart. So she convinced him to say, use those protective instincts like taking care of your family, take care of your classmates. Michael's football career took off. And her son, SJ, was taking videos, sending him to local colleges. And when Michael was getting college offers, he needed to have higher grade things. So she helped more with tutoring. And, push comes to shove, Michael gets accepted into this college. And he ends up playing for the alma mater of Leanne Tui. And the ending act of the movie is the real Michael Orr being the first round draft choice for the NFL as a left tackle in 2009. So, here he is, Michael using his gift of protecting people, Leanne Tui using her resources to help support this young kid, just reaching out to somebody that her son had befriended. So it speaks to my heart about, doing all you can with what you've got and the place you are with the thing you've got. Because each one of these people, Leanne Tui, Michael, the father who helped get him into the Christian Academy, they all kind of reached out to other people and helped others. The other thing that came to mind is, we don't have to have big special gifts to be noticed and make an impact on the world. Back in 2000, in the 600 BCE area, the fellow named Siddhartha Gautama, the guy who later became known as the Buddha would, he found this gift of enlightenment and he went around India sharing his spiritual gifts. And he went to this one place and a visit. And there was this ruler who's in charge, King Baba Sama, in charge of this country called Magdala. And he wanted to really impress the Buddha because he knew the Buddha was coming to his village that night. So he ordered all his people in his town to get a little lamp and light the lamp. So when the Buddha came into town that night, he would have these 1,000 lamps lit the street. And there was one woman, an older woman, a widow, who dearly loved the Buddha. And she wanted to honor the Buddha, but her lamp was broken. So she took a piece of her sari, her Indian dress, to make a wick. She went down to the local store, and the storekeeper, taking pity on her, gave her some oil for her lamp. And she got out there and all the lamps were lit, and she lit her lamp and she kind of held it real close to protect it. And to the king's dismay, a wind swept through the street and blew out all the lamps, except for this little widow who had protected us. And the Buddha is recording as saying this. He was pointing to that woman who was saying, take note of this woman. As long as spiritual disciplines are practiced with this kind of love and dedication, the light of the world will never go out. Take note of this woman. As long as spiritual disciplines are practiced with this kind of love and dedication, the light of the world will never go out. So the Buddha took note of things and pointed out this woman. She's forever remembered in Buddhist scripture. And, some 600 years later, a fellow named Jesus of Nazareth was in the temple with his 12 disciples, and they were in the court of the women. And in the court of the women, they had these 13 trumpets where people could make donations. It's a big funnel and it goes down. So they would drop the coins in. People can't reach in to get them. And Jesus takes note of this widow, dropping in the widow's mite, 2 little coins into the thing. And Jesus is recorded as saying, truly I tell you, this poor widow has put in more than all those who have contributed to the treasury. For all those who have contributed out of their abundance, but she, out of her poverty, has put in everything she had, all that she had to live on. Wow. So both Buddha and Jesus took note of these widows. And, the widows and orphans and women in general, and that early time in history, they were not high on the food pecking order. But Buddha and Jesus both took note of them. And an example of people to remind them, because they were doing all they could with what they had and the place they was with all they had. They did all they can. And I think there's another term that comes up in various religious studies, particularly in the Buddhist tradition. It's called beginner's mind. A friend of mine says the joy of learning belongs to the beginner. So every time we engage in a new thing, there's a lot of joy as we're learning new stuff. But we can also hold what's called a beginner's mind, looking afresh at whatever we do. I remember I was doing beginner's mind one time when I was driving somewhere, and I was noticing all the little new things along the road that I was driving along on I-80 and 5 and whatever. And also I thought, uh-oh, am I on the wrong road? Because I've never noticed this before. Luckily for GPS, it told me I was on the right road. So when we hold a beginner's mind, every moment, every time we hear the same truth, it becomes anew, because we're looking at it a little deeper and at deeper levels. I know I've had the experience where I've read a book over and over, and I look at it and went, oh my God, when did they put that in there? Because another truth kind of jumped out at me. One of the things I was thinking about is we live in a busy world. I heard that the television commercials change every 1.5 seconds. So if I know where I'm watching some of these download things that have commercials, and oh my God, it's 1, 2, 3. Every second and a half, they're changing the pictures. Also, if you're looking at some of these series that are episodes, if you watch them, about every 5 to 8 minutes, they shift the scene. They're maybe doing one thing, and all of a sudden they shift to another vignette. It kind of keeps our attention going. And of course, the last vignette at the end of that episode, it's one of those hooks. Because I know I've gotten up and say, well, I can't sleep. Maybe I'll watch a little bit of my little series here. And I'll only watch one. And I get to the end of the series, and I'll go, oh my, how did I get out of that? They hooked me. So I end up watching 2 or 3. And next thing I'm going, oh my God, it's 1 a.m. I need to go to bed. So, how do we thwart this busyness that's thrust at it in the media and in our world? Well, two of the tools we have in Unity are prayer and meditation. I've heard that prayer is talking to God and meditation is listening to God. Well, a lot of times we don't want to do it. No, I really don't have time for that. We avoid doing that. And I remember one time I was trying to do meditation. I got up, sat in my chair, promptly fell asleep. Next thing I woke up about an hour later. So, but it wasn't a while, before I got into meditation. And now I have a pretty good practice. I get up in the morning, do 30 minutes. I sit in a meditation chair in my living room and make that connection. Our co-founder, Charles Fillmore, he defined prayer as communication between God and us. Prayer is the most highly accelerated mind action known. It's communication between God and us, and it's the most highly accelerated mind action that we've ever known. And Charles Fillmore was also known for sitting into the silence. Charles believed that in all this babble that him and Myrtle were studying, if he can go directly to headquarters, and he'd do this by sitting in the silence at a particular time each night and just sitting quietly. And there's no trick to meditation. I think the Zen community says the instructions are just sit. You can do a mantra, you can look at a candle, you can look at an image, or just sit. You can follow your breath. But the main thing is just being present to the now. They say yesterday's history, tomorrow is a mystery, today is a gift. That's why we call it the present. So, I know when I've started off in meditation, I thought I have to do 30 minutes. That's a lot to start off with. And time is all relative in spirit. There's a story about a tortoise getting mugged by a snail. And the tortoise goes to report it to the police officer. And the guy says, well, what did he look like? And the tortoise says, I don't know. It happened so suddenly, I couldn't see. The other day, I was behind this Prius, and it had a license plate. We have a Prius too. And Prius owners, we kind of like get the max mileage. And this license plate says, remember, the tortoise won. So we can do prayer and meditation. And, some of the ways of doing that, we can do it with other people. Some centers will have a collective prayer group, they get on Zoom and do a protective gear. And, never underestimate the value of people. There's a story about a CEO and his wife. They're driving into a gas station. This is way back when they were pump your gas for you. And the guy smartly says to his wife, he says, honey, if you were married to that guy, he'd be pumping gas. And his wife says, no, if I was married to him, he'd be a CEO and you'd be pumping gas. So never underestimate the power of people in our lives. And another thing is we can reinforce our prayer and meditation by rewarding ourselves when we get done it. There is no bad sit. Sometimes I'm more present. God and I are one, and other times the Buddhists call it monkey mind. My mind is just chattering away. But I can always tell myself, that was a good sit, Bob, because I did it. And, looking at our concept of God and unity, Barbara met our affirmations there. There's only one presence, one power, God the good, active in unity of Clear Lake, unity of the world, our unity all over the world, and in ourselves. Unity is a one power system. I remember taking an SEE class some years ago at Unity of Palo Alto by this unity minister, and he was saying unity is a one power system. Because before that, I was into his two power system. I was in this fundamentalist church, and there was this power called God and this other power called evil, and I was kind of like the hockey puck in the game of life. But if we believe into the principle that there's only one presence, one power, we may be looking at the news or watch read the paper, watch the news, and we're saying, oh my God, what is God really in it? Yes, God's really in it. There's only one presence, one power. We may have to look for it, but that presence is there. And 90% of the world believes there's this dualism in the world. And, we can get over some of this dualism by realizing our connection to other people. There is a book, and it's called 6 Degrees of Separation. And the theory is that within 6 people, we make a connection with other people. And boy, that was driven home to me. I was in Missouri. I had a chiropractor and massage therapist I'd go to once a month. And I showed up to get my massage, and this gal goes, Bob, do you know a Reverend Tom Lee? I went, yeah, he's my wife Margie's former classmate. And she says, well, I was coming home the other day, and there was this leather binder laying on this driveway. So I stopped and picked it up. And there was no address on it, but it had a bill thing from Lowe's. So I brought it over to Lowe's and left it with them, and figuring they could link up in there. And I said, well, isn't that something? So I called Tom on the phone and said, hey, Tom, did you lose a leather binder? He said, yeah. I said, well, go over to Lowe's. It's over there. So here he was, this massage therapist who had no connection with Tom Lee and me connected up. So we have this connection with other people if we just open our minds to it. The other thing we can think about is making this connection. And a word that came to mind is gap. God, awareness, present. Some time ago, we were taking the subway in New York, and there's a thing on the subway thing that says, mind the gap, when you step in there. Also, if you go to the malls, there's a Gap store. So if you see these mind the gap or Gap store, think about God, awareness, presence. So being fully aware to the presence of God in our lives. And we can do that and follow on the words of one of our co-founders, Myrtle Fillmore. When I was a licensed teacher, I taught a class based on her book, How to Let God Help You. And one of the things that I really like is on page 146 of Myrtle's book, How to Let God Help You. And these are Myrtle's words. And a lot of times we think of Myrtle, the little old frail gal, picture of here, older. Remember, she was a fiery redhead when she first started working in a frontier town in Texas. And this is what Myrtle wrote. So get busy with the truth you know. Love those about you in a practical way. Pay no attention to what others are doing insofar as making comparisons. Bring forth your own joyous world of love, friendship, beauty, and plenty. God is giving everything required to build such a world. There is within you the God given intelligence to build such a world. Get at it. Get at it. When I was teaching this class, one of my students worked in a t-shirt factory. So the next week he shows up, he's got t-shirts for everybody. And right across their chest is get at it. Somewhere it's lost, whatever, but I remember seeing that shirt. So, well, okay. Well, today we looked at, doing what you can with what you've got in the place you are with the things you've got. And today is the first day of fall, the equinox, balance, coming back into balance, equal light, equal dark. So maybe today is an auspicious day to look at what we're doing. Are we reaching out to other people in our life? Do we have those words of Myrtle saying, God's given us all these wonderful things to do? Are we going to take them and put them to use? So anyway, namaste, dear ones. Let's move into a period of meditative reflection. And I invite you to sit comfortably on your chair. Let your gaze be softly forward. If you want to look at this screen of mine, it's the Lake Tahoe in the background that I took some years ago when Margie and I were up at a retreat up at this beautiful retreat house in Lake Tahoe. Or you can close your eyes and let my words be your words. I invite you to bring your awareness to your body. Feel the pressure of our feet on the floor, the pressure of our body against the chair, whatever we're sitting on. The temperature of the air on our exposed skin. Bring our awareness to our breath and notice that gentle rise and fall of our chest. This wonderful process called respiration, which goes on whether we're thinking of it or not, thank goodness. The ancient Hebrews used the word ruach for breath, for wind, and for spirit. So imagine as we're breathing in, we are inspiring spirit. That spirit without that transcendent God, breathing it within and connecting with that inner spirit within each and every one of us, like our unity principles say. Bring our awareness to our heart center, that wonderful physical organ that sends blood to every cell of our being. And if there's any part of our body temple that needs that healing hand of spirit, I invite you to see love-filled, spirit-filled blood flowing to that area of our body temple, bathing it in a blue-white light bubble of healing energy, bringing about the right and perfect healing at the right and perfect way and in the right and perfect time. And if there's any person, place, thing, or event that needs that healing hand of spirit in their lives, I invite you to see it very clearly in your mind's eye and see it enveloped in a blue-white light bubble of healing energy, bringing about the right and perfect solution at the right and perfect way and in the right and perfect time. And now we take a few moments going within to that heart center. And Jesus of Nazareth, when asked by his disciples, saying, Lord, teach us how to pray, he told them to go within to the closet of their being, their heart center. Shut the door to the outside world, and the Father, which hears in secret, speaks in a small, still voice, but rewards openly. So we've gone into that heart center of our being. We mentally shut the door to the outside world, and we listen for a few moments into the silence, listening for that small, still voice, or thoughts flitting through our mind, or images flashing over the screen of our mind as we gently rest in the silence. And now let's bring our awareness back to our physical body temple. Feel the pressure of our feet on the floor, the pressure of our body against the chair. And perhaps in our time of silence there, we heard something like a small, still voice, or images flashing across the screen of our mind, or thoughts flitting through our mind, or perhaps not. But we have made ourselves open and available to spirit. And perhaps later today, an email from a friend, a book we're reading, a movie we're watching. Spirit will speak very clearly about what Spirit is calling you to do what you can with what you have in the place you are with the things you've got. Do all you can. So now let's open our eyes and be fully present and listen to Barbara with some announcements.
Namaste, Bob. Wow, wonderful. I took a lot of notes and have a lot to think about, positive things. You do have a way with words, and that was wonderful. Thank you so much. Um, yeah, well, um, so my announcements, well, to finish up this 5 Sunday month, we will have a community Sunday at our church on Sunday with Sarah Merlin at church. And she's going to talk about miracles. And what's really fun, she's just attracts a lot of the community for the community Sunday. But her music man this Sunday will be playing the guitar and singing, but also the harmonica. Now that's got to make for a fun Sunday too. A little different. Well, it's different. We haven't had this man at our church before this. And wow, I'm looking forward to that. That's on this Sunday, guitar and harmonica. So, and then you'll be getting your newsletter about next month. Um, you'll be hearing about Annika, beautiful woman that we're going to look forward to hearing. And then also Margie will be with us next month. And so, wow, fabulous. Everything is fabulous. So let me see. Aha. Here we go. Well, of course, all your donations are greatly appreciated. So, mail to P.O. Box 755, Lower Lake, California 95457. P.O. Box 755, Lower Lake, California 95457. And so we're going to go ahead now and have Bill sing his song, and after that, the closing song. But after that, stay for the chat and see what else we can share with each other. So that chat will not be videoed. So we look forward to that. Okay, Bill.
I've been down this road before. I remember every tree, every single blade of grass holds a special place for me. And I remember every time in every hotel room and every song I ever sang on a guitar out of tune. I remember everything, things I can't forget. The way you turned and smiled on me on the night that we first met. And I remember every night, your ocean eyes so true. How I miss you in the morning light, like roses miss the dew. I've been down this road before, alone as I can be, careful not to let my past go sneaking up on me. Got no future in my happiness, though regrets are very few. Sometimes a little tenderness was the best that I could do. I remember everything, things I can't forget. swimming pools of butterflies that slipped right through the net. And I remember every night your ocean eyes so true. How I miss you in the morning light, like roses miss the dew. How I miss you in the morning light, like roses miss the dew.